Oh, thank you. I'm glad I saw that right away. Rewind. Happy Tuesday. I'm Freddie Vasquez, Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, I want to discuss the city finances and go over the books. Let's take a look at the books, right? I'll go over some the financial statements, the comprehensive financial something. I'll show you that. And also, I want to discuss some of the stuff that Shatika Parker, candidate for District 1 City Council, had to say in regards to the homeless and affordable housing. I did invite Shatika Parker onto my show. I have seen her several times. She said she was going to come on. What happened? I see you going on other shows. What is it? Like, I thought we were, I don't know. Anyway, Shatika Parker is a part of the Andrea Stewart Cousins, Indivisible, Christopher Johnson, Eileen O'Connor, Corazon Pineda, Isaac team. However, she is the only one, I should say, that got the Democratic committee here in Yonkers endorsement. Christopher Johnson did not get it. Neither did Deanna Robinson, which I was a bit surprised because she is Shanae Williams' aide. Shanae Williams is running for county legislator against Christopher Johnson. And Deanna Robinson is a part of this, the Spano team. Hey, Deanna, I'm not, and by the way, listen, I'm not going to be hard on you, Deanna. Don't worry if I mention you on the show. Just kidding. Deanna's cool. I've spoken with her very recently and stuff like that. She's on the phone. Hopefully, we're working to get that situation situated, Mrs. Robinson. Then that'll show a lot, Deanna. You're running for District 1. Someone in your district has reached out technically to Shanae Williams, but you work for Shanae in her office. You are the one that's communicating with this individual. This is your time to shine. This is your time to shine. So, I mean, let's, see what could happen here. And I'll mention that. I'll mention that for sure. Anyway, let's take a look at Shatika Parker, who's, again, running for District 1 Council against Deanna Robinson, as I mentioned, and also Ivy Reeves. Ivy Reeves. Anyone familiar with Ivy Reeves? She's actually not someone that's a political unknown. She's been around in politics for a while. She's ran for office before, and she's kind of like in stealth mode. I don't know if I was supposed to say that. She didn't say not to, but she's also in the race, but it's kind of real stealthy. But let's take a look at Miss Parker here and see what she had to say.
Current affordable housing ordinance that I think needs to be addressed, and I would be working toward getting passed, right? It's not just having the percentage of affordable housing changed, right? Because if you look at the affordable housing legislation as it currently stands, the percentage is not the only thing that's wrong with it. There is, and let me just point out, I've actually recently lived under the current affordable housing ordinance and had to move because I got a raise, to put it plainly, right? And that shouldn't be. I got a raise, but not a raise to where I could afford the rent that is so high, for myself and for my daughter, right? And so people shouldn't be pushed out of their affordable housing or scared to make an extra dollar because they might be pushed out, right? So when I talk about the current affordable housing ordinance and things needed to be changed, that's one of the things that I'm talking about. Having the meat of the legislation changed to be able to better suit Yonkers residents, especially on the west side. That means not being forced to leave because you make a dollar over the required income, right? Changing the way, or working to change and figure out how we can adjust the way the reporting for that income is done, because unbeknownst to many, that income reporting is annualized.
And so she's talking about, the affordable housing ordinance, and if some people, obviously they have to certify every year. This is why I was saying, has anyone recertified Brian Harrod? I mean, he's making money with those ads and stuff, on the low, right? But they have to recertify. So if their income has increased, then that does affect them. But we need a housing ordinance, period, right? We've yet to see one. They tried it in 2021. They failed. They failed us. They played a game. Here we are in 2023, still no affordable housing ordinance. But we've seen them get things passed quickly, right? We've seen the term limit extension, 10 days. Redistricting, 10 days pretty much also, right? Anything that they want passed, approved, passed, they do that quickly. We see all these zoning changes happening so fast, and yet we don't have an affordable housing ordinance. They're playing with us, tossing it around, saying, oh, we're working on this. It's complex. We have to make sure this, that, and the third. It's a bunch of nonsense. I want to play another video really quick of Shatika, and this is in regards to homelessness, and this is where I wanted to play.
Not something that the city is responsible for, but we're responsible for people just because we're human. Right? Like, we're responsible for our community just because it's our community. So on the city council, I would not be looking at it from a perspective as that's the county's problem. It's not something that we should be dealing with, or trying to address homelessness on a very surfacey way, right? I will be working with our county partners to see what the real issues are. Legislator Christopher Johnson, you just pointed out domestic violence. You pointed out people not being able to pay their rent because maybe they lost their job, right? Being able to allocate funds for a countywide ERAT program so that people can pay their rent, being able to institute eviction prevention funds, because your chances increase by like 90% when you have a lawyer in court against your landlord, being able to make sure that the Office for Women and their domestic violence high-risk team has the resources necessary to be able to keep women and men safe in those situations, right, and not force them to lose their housing.
So she's talking about, she would, if she were to be elected as a city council representative for District 1, that she would not look at it as a county problem specifically, right? Because we've talked about this. We see the increasing homeless population, and we're saying, hey, what's going on here? And you go to your elected officials, Shanae Williams in District 1, where we see the population really at its worst here in the city, and she will point you and others to the county. Now you go out to the county, and the county will say, yes, we're working on it, but people have to want to be helped, right? That's what they say. We can't do anything if they don't want to be helped, right? But like Shatika Parker's saying, there's a lot of, reasons why people end up being homeless. Before we have been going through this whole housing crisis, one of the, a few primary reasons, well, the two I would say were mental health and drug addiction, right? And a lot of times, the both went hand in hand. People would self-medicate who have mental health issues by using drugs, and they become addicted to it. And so I've know this personally, and even my own clients. I had a client who's had mental health issues. His house burnt down, and he ended up being on the street. His family didn't even kind of help him. He's actually out here in Yonkers, right? And he was a client of mine, well, the family, but he was living in the house, right? And so they ended up not rebuilding the house. They kind of left him out on the street. And I, from time to time, see him in Getty Square. This is a white male. And so there are many different individuals of all races, all ages, genders out there in Getty Square, and it's growing. And Shatika Parker made a comment like, it's kind of a few individuals in Getty Square that we see. It's not a few individuals, Shatika. And Shatika Parker, being the aide of Christopher Johnson, should know a lot more about this issue, because at the end of the day, technically, that is a county issue. And Christopher Johnson has mentioned the opening of the homeless shelter over on Kashmir after the sharing community had closed down. But that, I don't know if it was as big. I'm not sure the size, dimension versus, but it doesn't seem like that has really done anything to really help the problem. And yes, we have to understand the times that we're living in. The housing crisis is causing more homeless population increase because people are losing their homes. So it's not just people now with mental health or drug addictions. We're actually seeing families living in boat houses, in their cars and RVs. You are seeing just individuals, in their 20s living in campers that they've converted into, vans that they've converted into campers. And you can see them parked along, different streets throughout the country. And so as the prices of rent increases, we are going to see more and more of this. And what has the county, the state, and the city done to address this issue? What really? Because it seems to only be increasing here in the city of Yonkers. So, Shatika Parker, Christopher Johnson, you guys are, the ones that should be really on top of this because it's a county issue. Well, Christopher Johnson, I know Shatika Parker works for him, but I agree with Shatika Parker that should also be involved because at the end of the day, it impacts city residents, city businesses, the quality of life here in the city of Yonkers, right? So that definitely should be something that as a county a council person, you should also be concerned with, right? And did anybody see Tasha Diaz in the meeting tonight? By the way, I put some Lafayette, Mr. Reggie Lafayette, the former Democratic committee, Westchester County Democratic Committee chair. Someone sent me some videos of his son, the guy that has had the issue with Ruth Walters. And in one of the videos, and you can see it on the page, he's threatening to cut the throat of an activist by the name of Samuel Rivers in Mount Vernon. He threatened to cut his throat if he were to post any pictures of children in his family. And then he also can be seen in another video tearing up Rob Astorino signs. So this is the individual that was on the Yonkers Voice video saying, his side of the story in regards to the Ruth Walters, where she alleged that he threatened her and he was extorting her over some money that he was owed for going out into the community to hand out literature or, I don't know, maybe rip up signs. I don't know. But you can see them in the videos if you want. They're on the page. I won't show them. Maybe I'll show them at the end. But I do want to get into this financial report here that I was sent also. This is very interesting as well. This is what our this is the primary responsibility of the city council, right? Not to hand out food. And I get it. We do have a lot of individuals with food insecurities. And we appreciate the community organizations, organizations like Feeding Westchester, Ridgeway Alliance Church and their congregation. Thank you guys for your donations, right? But our elected officials who attach themselves to these food drives and simply, utilize them for campaigning, right? Don't need to be there. They need to be in their office reviewing these budgets, reviewing these numbers. And Anthony Moranti, who prides himself as being the accountant, the expert guy there on the council, should also be looking at this, right? And he should be looking at some of the things that I mentioned in a podcast on Sunday in regards to the time, theft of time, city taxpayer money, pretty much either being stolen or due to lack of management or supervisory, lack of supervisors or anyone paying attention. People are getting away with all this time that they have not earned, but they're getting paid for it. Timesheets are being turned in with excessive amount of time, yet no one signed them. No one certified them, not the supervisor, not the employee. And why do you think that is? No one wants to be responsible when they get audited. And they ask, why are these timesheets have all this time on it? Was this time actually earned? So no one wants to sign that, right? But they should be signed. And if they're not, they should not be getting paid. So this is the organizational chart of the city of Yonkers. Who's at the top here? The electorates, right? The electorate, that's us. That's the people. We, the voters. That goes down to city council, legislative branch, and then the mayor, executive branch, and they both choose the inspector general, which is Liam McLaughlin. Then over here all the way to the left, we have Vincent Spano, the city clerk. And elections, / elections, city clerk, right? And underneath the mayor, we have the deputy mayor. We have two deputy mayors. We have Tom Landy, and we have Steve Levy. Then we go down to Corporation Council, and we know that to be Matt Gallagher. Finance and Management Services, I'll get into those people. Gene Lewinsky, something like that. Then we have human resources, and that's Carlos Moran, someone that I've spoken about on my podcast, because of employees who do not feel comfortable reaching out to HR, because if they do and they complain about issues that they're having, they complain about nepotism, they complain about retaliation, harassment in the workplace, they may get sent to the crooked shrink, as Anthony DiMaggio likes to call it, the IMA clinic. And that basically is your way of getting fired. And that's happened to not just Anthony DiMaggio. So that's why I've mentioned Carlos Moran. Then we have go down to Department of Information Technology. The deputy commissioner of the IT department is the father of Akeem Jamal, the individual that worked as the communications director for Mayor Mike Spano for a while, the guy that got into the DUI accident after leaving a party that was attended by the mayor and others. Planning and development, you have Lou Albano and his guys over there. Then on this side to the right, you have the police department, Christopher Sapienza, fire department. I'm not sure who's the commissioner of the fire department. Department of Public Works, DPW, Tom Meyer. Then engineering, Parks Department, Steve Sansone. Department of Housing and Buildings, Sam Borelli. Constituent Services, that's Michael Sabatino. That was his payoff for introducing the term extension when they went for the third term. He and Mike Breen, he was the majority leader. Mike Breen was the minority leader. He still is. And together they introduced the legislation and it was passed and Mike Spano won again. Now, Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy being a part of the legislative branch over here, so was Michael Sabatino at the time, introduced the legislation for the fourth term extension all by herself. She's not going to land in constituent services. Oh no, she's an attorney. She'll probably head over to city court for that. Just saying. Michael Sabatino makes $120,000 as constituent services director. But there are many constituents out there that are having problems and no one seems to be directing them to a solution. Certainly not Michael Sabatino. He's too busy partying with hubby over at Untermeyer Park for the summer solstice. Veteran Services, that's headed by Deanna Robinson's dad, Reverend Robinson. I'm sorry, Will Robinson. I'm sorry. Human Rights, the library, and then the museum, Hudson River Museum. I just want to show you the organizational chart. I think that's important to know. Profile of the city. The city was incorporated in 1872 as provided by the New York State Constitution. The city operates pursuant to the city charter, which they seem to amend at will, adopted in 1961 and subsequently amended many, many times over. I added that. The city also operates in accordance with other state laws, including general city law, general municipal law, and local finance law, to the extent that such laws are applicable to a city operating under a charter form of government. The city also operates in accordance with the Special Local Finance and Budget Act of 1976 for the city of Yonkers, New York. The city is Westchester County's largest municipality, with a population of 211,569, according to 2020 U.S. Census data. Ranking as the third largest city in the New York State in terms of the number of residents, it covers an area of 18.3 square miles, including more than 4 miles of prime waterfront land along the eastern shore of the majestic Hudson River. The downtown and central city areas are built on rising terrain, sweeping back from the Hudson River, and unrivaled geographic position in terms of natural beauty and accessibility to the pleasures and amenities that only a riverfront location can provide. The city operates under a mayor-council form of government. The mayor is elected for a 4-year term and is designated by the charter to be the chief executive officer, CEO. The city council president, Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy, is elected citywide for a 4-year term, and the 6 city council members are elected from single-member districts for 4-year terms. all city elected officials are limited to 16 years of consecutive service in the same position. The legislative power is vested in the city council. The legislative power is vested in the city council. The city council president presides over the deliberations of the city council. The main responsibilities of the city council are to adopt the annual budget, levy taxes, and authorize indebtedness. Wow. Not distribute food, Tasha. Not to distribute food. The city is responsible for and maintains police, fire, sanitation, water services, street parks, and playgrounds. Although it is also in large measure responsible for the financing of local primary and secondary educational expenditures, the Board of Education, comprised of members appointed by the mayor, administers the city's school system. In 2014, the state enacted legislation entitled Chapter 55 of the laws of 2014, known as the Yonkers City School District Deficit Financing Act. And you may remember this. This is when the mayor and the administration took over the school budget. This legislation from the state required that the city and the Board of Education to enter into an intermunicipal agreement, which provides for the city to impose specific financial, operational, and or supervisory control over the Board of Education, effective June 30th, 2014. The city is in compliance with quarterly financial reporting in accordance with this act. Pursuant to state law, Westchester County, not the city, is responsible for the local funding of mandated social services programs such as Medicaid, family assistance, and safety net programs. The city is financially accountable for the Yonkers Downtown Waterfront Development Corporation, a legally separate entity which is reported as a discretely presented component unit within the city's basic financial statement. And this discretely is not meaning hidden or to do it like, not, really low or, it means separate, right? Apart, right? And a lot of people often get those two mixed up, actually. So just staying. So it doesn't mean, it's not like, oh, they're trying to hide this into the budget. No, it just means it's a separate part of the budget, right? So local economy, and this is what they sell the city of Yonkers out to, all these developers and people that want to come out here, right? And buy up the land and buy up the property and cause the rents and everything else to go up. Cost of living, the cost of a house to go up. Just 30 minutes from Midtown Manhattan, the city is blessed with numerous distinctive residential neighborhoods, both urban and suburban in character. However, if they get their way with these zoning changes, it won't have much of a suburban character. The city is known for its diverse and highly skilled labor force, its splendid public resources and gardens, stately historic sites and public buildings, more than 100 parks and playgrounds, yet we need a waterfront right there instead of jobs. Elementary and higher educational facilities closely geared to the population's evolving needs, transportation and highway networks that speed connections to New York metropolitan area and beyond, plus an array of ultra-modern shopping centers and retail facilities that form a core part of the city's economy. The city is served by 2 private, not-for-profit hospitals and medical care centers, all of which have long-established reputations for technological excellence and advanced treatment. All these elements and more, the mix that makes the city so unique and inviting to new development and initiatives, are manifestations of the city's underlying and ever-growing strength as a flourishing business, commercial, and manufacturing center. Right. So, and I don't know if I want to go on. Well, this is what they're looking at, right? So this is their plan. This is part of their plan. So we have to understand this, right? So the city's metropolitan area has an abundance of well-located development sites for large-scale corporate and business projects for a wide diversity of human-scale projects, entertaining, dining, cultural and art activities, and more. The latter are expected to attract constituencies made up of local families and business groups, as well as those from surrounding areas. The prime development sites are readily accessible through the city's impressive network of transportation and highway facilities. Is it impressive? Yeah. The goal for revitalization in these areas is this. By creating a new, multifaceted Yonkers, the city is destined to become a magnet for commercial activity. The city is taking a strategic approach and moving toward its net milestone of growth. there are two distinct but interrelated parts to the plan. First, the city has dedicated itself to attracting specific categories of business, highly specialized technology firms, those servicing the internet and biotech industries, for example. And biotech, what does that mean? Biology, technology, right? These mRNA, new quote unquote vaccines. Service and professional groups and light manufacturing industrial companies seeking to expand and or relocate in the area that is literally minutes from the nation's largest marketplace. Second, it is also focusing on the need to foster opportunities for carefully planned and responsible development of residential housing, mixed-use projects, as well as recreational, entertainment, and hotel/conference center facilities. So that's what they're looking forward. And here you can look at some of the projects that they've put up that they're talking about. A lot of projects here, and I won't go through all of them, but I will share this so you guys can, review it if you want on your own. That's cool. You go ahead and do that. Talks about the waterfront, the Ludlow waterfront park here that I just mentioned, right? Tax abatements. Right, and let's talk about that. That's important. These developers are receiving a lot of tax abatements from the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency. The city of Yonkers Industrial Development Agency has entered into agreements with developers to receive property tax incentives. These agreements, payments in lieu of taxes or pilots, are executed to further create economic development and job growth throughout the city of Yonkers by attracting new businesses, retaining existing ones, and helping them all become more competitive in a global marketplace. Now, when they speak of creating new jobs, right, because in order to receive a pilot, payment in lieu of taxes, you have to provide jobs to the local workforce. So if Yonkers is providing this, tax incentives to all these developers, then they have to hire at least from Westchester, but that should be the Westchester IDA. But I can live with that. But they should be hiring from Yonkers, and they're not. And we know that. They're coming from Connecticut, New Jersey, and elsewhere. I even see Pennsylvania plates. And so what people are doing now is we have people now moving from these states here because they're going to be on these long-term projects, right? They're contractors. This is a 10-year plan. Many of these projects will be taking 10 years, right, to do. Some of them in the entire 10 years, some will be shorter. But individuals know, why not stay here, maybe build a new life here. And so all this is attracting people from the outside while pushing people that are from Yonkers out. And that's my gripe. Because instead of building a Yonkers and providing for those that are here, that's not truly what's happening. And so when we give these pilots, the city loses money, the people don't get jobs here, but we get luxury developments that they cannot afford. So not only are they not getting jobs, they can't afford the luxury developments, right? They need the jobs to pay for the apartments. The average person in the city of Yonkers makes $35,000 a year. One of these studios averages about, or one bedroom, $3,000 a month. That's $36,000 a year. So they would be negative $1,000, right? And forget all the other bills. So obviously this is not for people here. The jobs are not being created for the people here. And many of the retained jobs, are, a few, like 1, 2, 3 jobs that are retained. Most of them are construction jobs. And once they're done, the jobs are gone, right? But at least if they were giving that work to our guys and girls here, we could understand the tax breaks, but we need this tax money because they're siphoning all this tax money, throughout the different departments. So then the developers are getting breaks. We're just getting screwed from both sides, Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. They aren't providing jobs to the local workforce. They're not. And that's a shame because they need the jobs here. That's what we need to bring in. Many of these developments are taking property where businesses are now located or were once located, and they had to relocate, if not shut down, forcing people to lose their jobs. And even if they relocate, like one company, the meat market on Ashburn or Woolworth did in Jersey, the people that work for it here are not going to move to Jersey just to stay employed, right? So they end up losing that job and they have to find another job. Some businesses just go out of business, never reopening. So jobs are being lost, not being provided for luxury developments. So you have to kind of see that and put 2 and 2 together so you can get 4 and see what, 5, 10 years is going to look like here in the city of Yonkers, right? And you might not be seeing it. You might not be here because of the changes. So that's just important why I wanted to go over what their plans are here. So that's what they're doing here to track new business, whatever. I'm going to go down now. I just want to show some of the numbers before it gets to, where we at 30 minutes. And so it's important to see this breakdown here, right? And one of the issues also that I've been mentioning is the independent auditing company, right? The auditors, PKF O'Connor Davies. They do not change the independent auditing firm at all. And to me, that's a conflict of interest because these guys are now seen on the contribution pages. You can see them donating to all the candidates, right? To all the elected officials. And so I think that's a conflict of interest if they're supposed to be independent auditors, and they should rotate them. They should pick different, but that's up to the city council, right? Our city council members are the ones that are supposed to bring this up. Unfortunately, they're concerned with distributing food, and Tasha Diaz is concerned with spending taxpayer money handing out bogus awards. And this is why I say it. I give it to you blunt. I got to put it bluntly, right? Key financial highlights for the fiscal year of 2022 are the city's total net position as reflected in the government-wide financial statements increased by $199.3 million from a deficit of $3.14 billion at June 30th, 2021 to a deficit of now $2.94 billion as of June 30th, 2022. So the city is almost in $3 billion of debt. Yeah, well, they're the beggars. That's why they're always begging the state for money, because they are in $3 billion of debt. They owe a lot of money to the city. The city's in 2.9. So that 199, almost $200 million didn't do much for the debt of was at 3.14. Actually, 3.31 actually total. $1 billion, folks, the city of Yonkers. And that's why our kids can't get anything in the schools. They don't have the money because any additional money has to go to servicing debt, bringing this debt down. The total increase in net position resulted primarily from an $88.36 million decrease in the city's pension liabilities and related deferred outflows and inflows of resources in accordance with provisions of just an organization. So one of the biggest, expenses that the city is incurring is the pension liability. So when they're hiring friends and family, unqualified individuals, and then they're getting these pensions for life, having done nothing but sold the city out. And we, the taxpayers, get left holding the bags. Our kids get left holding the bags. So this is important. The city is committed to providing post-employment benefits to its employees in the form of pension and health care. So they get paid and they get health care after they're done. And so you have to go back to my podcast on Sunday where I spoke about, the mismanagement, of the hours that people have earned or really didn't earn. Yet many had thousands, there were thousands of extra hours. Some individuals had over 100 extra hours that they had not earned, built up in their bank, that when they then leave, retire, they get paid for. And that costs us money. And they didn't even earn it. But because there's no one there managing this, either intentionally or unintentionally, or because individuals are not qualified because they were hired through a friends and family network plan, this is what happens. Millions and millions of dollars wasted. So that's important. It's very important. Let me go down to the numbers so you can actually see the government-wide financial analysis. As noted earlier, net position may serve over time as a useful indicator of the city's financial position. In the case of the city, liabilities and deferred inflows of resources exceeded assets and deferred outflows of resources by $2.94 billion at the close of the current fiscal year. And so you can see here as of June 30th, they're comparing the two years in that same point in time. Current assets, $736,205,856. up almost 200 million. Net pension assets, 306 million over. Capital assets, over 868 million. Total assets, 1.9 billion. Up about 500 million. Long-term liabilities, 3.5 billion. It's down a bit from 4.8 billion over last year. That's a lot. Total liabilities are down. It looks almost a little less than 2 billion. But the city of Yonkers has heavy debt that it's carrying. Total net position. This is where we stand. Just about 3 billion in debt. And that's why you see the you call those things again? These things. Forget. Right? So one component of the city's net position is its investment in capital asset, less any related debt used to acquire those assets that is still outstanding. The city uses these capital assets to provide services to the citizens, and consequently, these assets are not available for future spending. Although the city's investment in its capital assets is reported net of related debt, it should be noted that the resources needed to repay this debt must be provided from other sources, since the capital assets themselves cannot be used to liquidate these liabilities. So they can't use the money because they have to use that for the services. So they have to find somewhere to pay the loans, the debt that they've got themselves in to pay for these services. Right? That's what it's saying. The subject, those assets subject to internal restrictions. I'll go in there. So changes in that position. So this right here shows where the city gets its revenue from, right? And what our expenses are. Not, itemized, but general. General categories, right? So revenue, and it compares again, 2021, 2022. Program revenues, charges for services, it up a little under 3 million, 96 million. So that's what we got in 2022. We had $96,399,112 from charges for services. Not 100% sure what those services are. Operating grants and contributions. So you oftentimes will hear that, city council members say, we have to amend the budget. We received a grant for this from the county or received a grant from the state to do different things. I would imagine that's what that's referring to. And they received 192 million of that. So the city's getting money outside of its own revenue that it generates. So when they're crying, oh, we begging the state, they don't give us enough. Capital grants and contributions, another 2.6 million. General revenues. And so this is where the taxes and stuff, right? General revenue. This is how the city generates a lot of its money, primarily. Real property taxes. In 2022, $378,105,535. The year before, in 2021, it was 371 million, a little over that. So just about 6 million more this year in real property taxes. But aren't there a bunch of developments that are up? Weren't they up by this point? I don't know, maybe help me understand. I'm not technically an accountant. Though. Other tax items, 89,722. That's up about 10 million. Non-property taxes, $206,916,312. That's up pretty good. That's up almost 26 million. And unrestricted use of money and property, 429,000. I'm not sure what that means exactly. Sales of property and compensation for loss. Oh, sale of property and compensation for loss, 1.3 million. You see the difference from 2021. 2021, it was 6.2 million. 2022 was 1.3 million because they sold a lot of property in 2021. Unrestricted state aid. Now, this is the aid that they talk about that we need more of, and it has gone up. In 2021, the city received 418 million. $303,887. And in 2022, they got $455,907,125. So, I mean, they got a good amount more, right? Like 30-some million more. Or was it 25 million more? Is that 20? Miscellaneous, another 5.4 million, but that's down from 2021 where they got 7.4. And that could be like, pandemic aid or something like that. I don't know, maybe COVID aid. I don't know. Some, things for that nature. See, it just says miscellaneous, right? So total revenues in 2021, the city received 1.2 billion, 1.1. I'm sorry, 1 billion. I said 1.2. I was doing it wrong. $1,276,012.60. I'm sorry, $12,068. Excuse me, that number's so big, right? And then in the 2022, they got $1,429,178,934. Under $2 billion more from the year before. So now the expenses. What are the expenses that the city? General government support. General government support. I would imagine that's, the different departments. Police department, DPW. No, public safety is here. What is general government support? Maybe that's like all the city employees that are not part of the departments, like fire and all that. Well, that's down. That's good, right? In 2021, for general government support, the city spent $152,922,584. But in 2022, it spent only $116,746,444. 444. Look at that. Education spending was down. And that because of, I'm sure they got some money from the federal government. In 2021, the city spent $793,568,441 for education, but it's down. In 2022, it was $669,288,977. So over 100 million, almost 200. I wonder why that is. Almost 200, a little under 200 million. Public safety is also spending on public safety is down. Is this why crime is up? I thought people were promoted and more people got hired. In 2021, public safety, I guess maybe the pandemic, there wasn't a lot of people out in 2021, right? 307,971,596 was spent. In 2022, it was only 280,816,105. So about 27, under 27 million, less. This in 2022. Transportation was roughly the same. 3.4, then 3.9 the following year. Culture and recreation, 36 million, up from the previous year, almost 4 million, or over 4 million maybe. Why is that? Why culture and recreation? You're spending more. You're spending less on public safety, but more on culture and recreation. I don't understand that. Spending less on education and public safety, but more on culture and recreation. I don't understand that. Home and community service. They also spent more on that. It went from 92 million in 2021 to 101 million in 2022. And then they had to pay interest from their debt. That was up 18.4 million in 2021 to 21.2 million. So total expenses for the city of Yonkers, it was down. Well, yeah, they spent less on education and public safety. I would think that's what we should have stayed, So in 2021, the total was spent was 1.4 billion. In 2022, it was 1.2 billion. So that's why you have a positive, of 199 million, almost 200 million, whereas in 2021 there was a loss of 125 million. So that positive, that 200 million that was left over, was added to the debt of 3.1 billion, which is why the city is now at a net position of 2.9 billion. Because they spent less on education and public safety. I mean, I'm all for paying down the debt, but I'm not for spending less on education and public safety. I don't know about you guys. So, where's the statistics showing all the taxpayer money spent on private investigators, private attorneys, and crooked shrinks and advance? That's going to be somewhere hidden in that, statement, and that, Freddie, the state is not going to keep giving increases. Not when you have outrageous salaries. Exactly. You need 65% of the salary cut, the board period. That's exactly why they don't give the city. So why? One of the reasons is because of the salaries. They say Yonkers spends a lot on salaries. You pay your employees well. You also go over budget on overtime year after year. You also use non-recurring money to pay recurring expenses. So you make these poor decisions and you expect us to pay you more money? I don't think so. I don't think so. Not today. Does the pilot payments go into the general fund? I don't know. We're going to find that out. And I'm already at 46 minutes. I'm going to dig this. I just want to show that. There'll be another a sheet that I want to show also, but I'll go through it as as the week goes. Grants have stipulations and guidelines. Your fire chief makes more than the president of the United States. Ain't that something? Yeah. It does he? I thought the president made like almost $500,000. You think their salary problem? Think about it. Yeah, no, I mean, look, people need to get paid, and I get that. But I think the first issue that I would tackle as mayor is these, time sheet problems, these hours that are being logged, these hours that people have not earned, but are, being put into their bank or in their bank. People having been paid for leave when they haven't earned it. So you see these -15s and -20 or whatever. No, we're not going into debt to pay you for leave when you haven't earned it yet. No way. You got to earn that, right? And if this guy has 108 hours extra in his bank, in his accruals, right? No, that's wrong. We got to make sure we don't have that, right? And if there's a limit of what you can carry over, then we need to make sure that we keep that limit. We don't, let some people carry over a lot more hours. You have to do something with those hours, otherwise you lose them. And this is important that you follow this, because otherwise we have problems. We have financial problems, right? We'll continue to be in debt. Our schools will continue to have, not the best of stuff. Programs will never come back. Not when the city of Yonkers is in $3 billion debt. Yeah, we're never going to see those programs. But let's keep giving promotions. Let's keep allowing people to turn in timesheets, right? With a bunch of hours that they didn't earn. Nobody's going to sign it, but they'll get paid. That's okay. Go ahead. That's how we do it here. But nobody's going to sign it. So then the supervisor could say, well, I didn't see it. It wasn't my fault. Granted, you're right. Okay, but you're fired because you should be signing them. The employee who got the paycheck, you're fired because you're stealing time. The person who processed it and allowed it to be paid, you're fired because you should have went back and made sure that this was signed and it was reviewed. That's how you operate a business. Right? Today I've been crazy busy past couple of days because I'm expanding. I partnered up with somebody and I'm moving into Jersey territory. It's been pretty slow in New York, right? So past 2 years, it's been very slow in the business. And here I am in the daycare business now, dumping money into that daycare. Why do you think I've been a little crazy too? Because business has been slow here. I'm dumping money into daycare, right? So I'm expanding. And so we have to talk to my guys. Listen, this is what we do. We have to meet quotas, bing. You have to run it efficiently. You have to run it right. You have to have these, rules and regulations and stuff, because it's about making money. But since it's not their money, it's taxpayers, our money that we pay them, right? For whatever property, sales tax, tickets that we get all the time. What are they doing with it? They're just putting it in their pocket. They're allowing Tasha Diaz to throw, a $10,000 party at the Castle Royale. And who's getting that money ultimately? Castle Royale's making money. They're taking a good chunk of that $10,000 for that party. And who owns the Castle Royale? You know what I'm saying? So, hello, we have to wake up. If we want to see things change, we have to understand what the problem is. We have to truly understand the logistics of the problem. And our council people do not get it. They don't want to get it, even if they were capable of getting it. And Anthony Moranti, as a councilman, you should be concerned with that. You should be saying, man, what Freddie Vasquez said on his podcast is concerning. We need to look into that. I'm the accountant. I'm going to do that. I want to be mayor. I'm going to speak about this. This is important. But we don't hear nothing. We don't hear nothing. And that's just why I say what I say. Our kids get hurt. Ultimately, I care about the kids the most. Our kids get hurt. They don't have great programming. Programs get shut. They try to start them and then boom. So their hopes get, brought up here and then they get let down. And so do you think that they're going to want to go back again? No. Why? They're going to cancel it anyway. I'm wasting my time. That's not cool. And today I was over at the new school. I went there earlier before the mayor got there, but I had other things to do, so I couldn't go live. But, I did see Reverend Lopez. He is the president of the board of trustees, school board of trustees. And I spoke to him, good guy, always says hello to me, gives me the hug and everything, says God bless me and the family, and say the same to him. Obviously he's a reverend. And so I asked him about that. I said, listen, I come from nothing. My whole, issue with why I'm very aggressive, because I come from nothing. I'm fighting for the people that don't have a voice, and we have to, have to be aggressive sometimes, right? But what I want is to see these kids have more, and I'm happy to see this, and I'm here being positive, and this is great. This is a beautiful thing, right? And we need more. We need 2 more schools. And I told him, I said, listen, this is the issue. Like, the program's going to cut. Just, why? I mean, these kids love it. They were getting up on the weekend to do these things, right? It's giving them a positive, activity to keep them occupied, to engage them in something that can maybe lead to other bigger things, and it's getting cut. Meanwhile, you got these people making buku cash in overtime that many probably didn't earn. And I just want to see the kids have, because I left Yonkers and I saw what a school that offers so much can do for people. And it's a shame that our kids don't have that. It's a shame. And I get it. You're building a school, and I get it. You're doing these little things. But I mean, it's just, we don't trust it. We don't trust it no more. Right? We don't trust it. And it's election year. So, I mean, it's like, what they doing? They do these things during the election year. They hype things up and then they just go away. Right? It's not really, so they don't follow through, and that's all I want. That's all I want to see. And this is why I'm showing this, because it's important to see where our money's going, what the issue is here in Yonkers. Why have we struggled so long to get our school back up to par? And I don't want to be negative to, the superintendent, Reverend Lopez, and the school board of trustees. It's not about that. It's not. Because, a lot of you send your kids to schools that are so much better, it. Deep down inside, you know it. I'm not saying Reverend Lopez, I think his kids go to public school, but a lot of the officials who have sent their kids to Stepanak and the private schools that offer so much more, right? And so they know it. When are we going to start really competing, right? Having a robust sports program. Like, we have to get these kids to be positive thinking, give them things that they're going to be engaged and want to do, because if you don't care, you just give them half-assed stuff, they're going to not care. They're not going to care. And I was talking to, Jonathan, one of the founders of 914 United. And, I love what he had to say. They going into the schools and they're talking to kids. And, I love that they understand that you have to meet the kids where they're at, right? And you have to get to know each kid and why they do what they do and what's going on, inside and what's going on at home. It doesn't matter how tough they act. And, they gave an example of a kid with a hoodie and all that, how they just say, take the hoodie off and yell at them, right? You have to understand and be sensitive. Many of these kids that go to the Yonkers public school have a lot of trauma. You may not know it, teachers. You may not know it. To all the teachers in Yonkers public school, you have to understand a lot of these kids that you have in front of you in your classroom have trauma, have been traumatized. I've been traumatized. I have trauma, right? And you could look, and people could look at my life and say, man, you have a lot. And it doesn't matter. I have trauma that I have dealt with, right? From my upbringing, and many of them also. And so that makes it difficult, right? So we have to really give these kids a lot more. You know, we have to really provide them with a school that's up to par so they can get that stuff and succeed, because they're already getting nothing to begin with, right? So I'm just saying, so this is why it's important, why we know where our money's going, because our schools, the biggest thing that gets, you know, that takes the hit, you know, but our roads, our infrastructure, you know, they're going around, shout out to DPW, they're fixing a lot of the pipes and fire hydrants and stuff, working on our overall infrastructure, you know, and I'm glad to see that. But I do want to remind folks that a lot of the things that they're doing are happening now. You heard it first here on Basement Politics. Freddie Vasquez was speaking on it, and now they're doing it. It's election year, and they know he has valid points. You know, so just remember, I'm already the mayor without being the mayor. So good. Wait until that COVID relief money runs out, and it has. The money already has, you know, unfortunately, and that's why they spent less on education that following year, right? So, and but I think they have another year. They still got some of it. In terms of running out, meaning like they're not getting any more from the federal government, you know, but they still have some left, I would believe. I wanted to show this Tasha Diaz. Anybody see this? This is crazy. No, it's not crazy. It's just funny.
Everyone, today is Tuesday, April 4th, and this is the stated meeting of the Rules Committee meeting. Today we have Matt Gallagher from Corporation Counsel that will be reading the items of consideration.
Check out the 2-finger ring and gold teeth, and she ain't afraid to hold heat.
From the administration.
Good evening, Majority Leader. Good evening, Council members. Good evening. So item number 1 is a resolution authorizing the City of Yonkers to seek review of fiscal year 2023 New York City water rates by New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. We already have pending actions against New York City DEC where we believe that the rates that are being charged are excessive. So this is just, even if they aren't, in order for us to act, we need to pass this resolution to permit us to challenge the rates.
This will go on the agenda.
And another one. And another one. And another one. I'm like DJ Khaled. Actually, Biggie started that, right? And another one. What are they talking about there? The water rates. Why? Because that's what I've been talking about. So they're blaming it on the city. Oh, the high water rates of the city, right? So the city provides the water, I guess, from the reservoir or whatever. The Yonkers has to pay that. And so the taxpayers, I mean, we have been paying higher water bills because there's more water usage now, right? If you increase the demand, you're going to increase the price because they control the supply, right? So now that the developers are here using waters, as you see them connecting hoses to the fire hydrants, they're using more water. So your water bill's up. That's why, because the city is using more, having a bigger water bill. You guys, everything gets passed down to the consumer. So are the developers paying for it? No. Where's the legislation on that, Matt? I'm just saying. Make them have meters, Matt. Meters, Matt.
Item number 2 is a resolution approving an IMA between the City of Yonkers and the County of Westchester regarding bus shelters within the City of Yonkers.
This item will also go on the agenda.
Anybody know what bus shelters are? What is that? I don't know what that was.
And the final item is item number 3, a resolution approving an agreement between the City of Yonkers and the Yonkers Police Captains, Lieutenants, and Sergeants Benevolent Association. This is a new collective bargaining agreement. It was ratified by CLSA yesterday.
Yes, this also will go on the agenda.
I'm sure it will. Here comes the contracts. Election season, like clockwork. It's like clockwork. I mean, you see
Okay.
it? The majority gang leader. I'm joking.
We would just want the record to reflect that we have the minority leader present, we have the majority whip present, we have Councilman Moranti present, we have Councilwoman Shanae Williams, and we have Councilwoman Pineda Isaac, which is absent.
We have Councilwoman Pineda Isaac, which is present. Oh, no, what she said, which is absent. She tried to throw you under the bus, Corazon. You know she wanted to make it out. Oh, she's absent. She's out in Manhattan or Brooklyn, wherever she lives, in her BMW, not the city car. Oh, you guys killed me. What a comedy.
Next items we'll be talking about for consideration is the items from council, and it is old business. We're going to start with old business, which is a general ordinance amending General Ordinance Number 4-2000, also known as Chapter 43 of the Zoning Code of the City of Yonkers, commonly known as the Zoning Ordinance of the City of Yonkers, and the accompanying zoning map by amending said map by changing the zone classification of 21 Scarsdale Road, also known as Section 4, Block 4544, Lot 1, as shown and designated on the official tax map of the City of Yonkers from the current one-zone district classification to the A-zone district classification. This also will go on the agenda. Next item is a resolution of the City Council urging the
More zoning changes. More zoning changes.
New York State Assembly and the New York State Senate to pass legislation to create a housing access voucher program and for Governor Hochul to sign the legislation into law. This also will go on the agenda. Next
Developers
item
want more money.
is a resolution by the City Council of Yonkers acknowledging and denouncing the continuing and rising dangers of the unsafe charging, storage, and use of e-mobility devices and lithium-ion batteries in the City of Yonkers and throughout the state, and calling for the governor and state senate and assembly to propose legislation regarding the statewide regulation of the use, storage, and charging of the e-mobility devices and lithium-ion batteries to protect health, safety, and welfare. This also will go on the agenda.
Now, the storage of lithium-ion batteries and things and all that, they're saying they don't want it because they've been causing fires. The battery's been blowing up. So does that mean that you can't put your Tesla in your garage? I'm just wondering. Maybe I don't know I'm not into the electric thing. I'm sorry. All right. But listen, we ain't gonna stop climate change if we go all electric, okay? Learn about the earth and how it's gone through these changes. It's just part of how it happens, right? Remember the Ice Age? Who melted that? Was it all the cars that didn't exist? And all the factories, but is that, I don't know, maybe I'm not getting that, but does that mean Teslas and garages, are you storing, it has a lithium ion batteries, right? And do you guys know what it takes to mine lithium for these batteries, and who are the people mining them? Blood diamond type of stuff, guys. Come on, you Tesla. Oh, we're gonna save the climate and we're gonna create child slavery.
Now we go to new business. A general ordinance amending Article 9 of the chapter 109 of the Code of the City of Yonkers entitled Stopping, Standing, and Parking in relation to commercial and other vehicle momentarily parking. That will go on the agenda.
So now they have to create these laws, right, about these vehicles stopping and all that. Because why? We're becoming the official sixth borough. We're actually a real borough now. We're, what are we, Bronkers? We're Bronkers now. So just like the city, when you go into the city, which I hate going into the city, Manhattan and stuff, I avoid it. Everyone's double parked. You got trucks double parked. People are triple parked. They're parking in front of hydrants now. It's lawless now. It's lawless. We have the scooters everywhere, no helmets. They're going through the red lights. Yonkers has become lawless like New York City. Congratulations, Bronkers. They're making us go bonkers.
A local law amending Chapter 58 of the Code of the City of Yonkers entitled Housing and Building Maintenance Code in regards to indoor asthma, allergen hazards, and multiple dwellings. This will go into the Environmental Committee.
What does that even mean?
The next one is a general ordinance amending Chapter 23 of the Code of the City of Yonkers, commonly known as cabinets, dance halls, and sidewalk cafes by changing the annual fee or references to the Director of Licensing Services to the Planning Commissioner and clarifying certain provisions. This will go on the agenda.
Yes,
The
that's
last
right. So you
item
mean
on
City
the
Lights
agenda
has to pay more money? Come on, man, leave City Lights alone. Are they even open
is
still?
in reference to the Commissioner of Deeds. These also will go on the agenda. With that being said, this ends today's rules meetings. Have a good evening, everyone.
Good job, Tasha. Good job. Tasha, get it, girl. Tasha Diaz, Majority Leader Tasha Diaz at the Rules Committee meeting there. So what do you think? How'd she do? I don't know. Look at me live. Anyway, folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Am I forgetting anything? Damn, I left my book. Am I forgetting anything? I don't know. Ron Madden, is that okay if I say Ron? Ron Madden was kicked off talking about the school bill being built. He was kicked off the school joint board construction thing or whatever. Ron, you should have never put up the retired Breen sign. Right? That's what got you kicked off now, right? They did you like they did those. Did they select somebody before kicking you off like they did the zoning board guys, Ron? At least did they let you know before they picked a new person? Yo, this city is crazy. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez, Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you for watching. Listen, you know, dude, stop. Someone is threatening to sue me for copyright infringement. But I mean, I'm watching their stuff, and I mean, it's, you know, that's Basement Politics child. I mean, come on, dude. Stop it. All right, it's very funny. Anyway, folks, I'm out of here. Copyrighted for you guys are crazy. Sue me, Sue Woo. Mr. Sue Woo, sue me. Sue Woo. Oh.
In another one, Mr. Rumo lied to me.
Tell her.
And I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
I was raised in housing. I was raised in housing. I was raised in housing. I don't think, you know, what is that sweet spot?
Folks, could you believe this?
In another one, Mr. Rumo lied to me. And I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
That woman is a sweet woman. Sweet. I don't want to say anything else. I don't want to say, you know, she's a senior, right? She goes to the Senior Citizen Center, but she's not. She's very sharp, very smart. Speaks Spanish well, though. She's not Hispanic, but she speaks it way better than me. Her accent is incredible. Like, when she speaks Spanish, she sounds like a Hispanic, like she's from, you know, Mexico, Puerto Rico, or something like that. You know, but when she speaks English, is obviously, you know, that she has the accent. I thought that was strange. Like, wow, when you speak Spanish, it's crazy. And, you know, she has so much to offer. And she's wanted to offer all she has just to give. But in the city of Yonkers, they don't like people like that. They don't like people who want to do good deeds. They don't like people even more who speak out. And it doesn't matter who you are, man, woman, and even probably child. If you speak out against the city, you will suffer some consequences. And in the case of our lovely Sylvia there, she was suspended from the Bernice Breckman Center because her cell phone rang off during bingo, and because she complained about a woman there who was probably stealing money. This is just my opinion, but based on what they told me, you would make the same conclusion. You would come to the same conclusion. And I spoke to Steve about this, right? Listen, Yonkers is big, but Yonkers is small. So when I talk like this, I'm like, we're like a family. Steve, you like my uncle, right? Uncle Steve, can you please help Auntie Sylvia? Why was she suspended indefinitely? I mean, she did nothing. Like, she was suspended from a place she loves to go to because her friends are there. She enjoys it. She even offered to teach Spanish. And guess what? They shot her down. Why? 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 I mean, if you allow gambling for money, why not allow Spanish to be taught for free? Well, Sylvia, I welcome you with open arms. You can come join us. You can teach all the Spanish you want, and we'll offer it to the community. This is a gift that the city has, a talent, a gem. And they don't take care of this great woman. Instead, they suspend her because she complains about a woman that's, from what I'm being told, verbally abusive. And from what I was told, possibly stealing their money, the money they raised through different fundraisers. It went missing. And then it reappeared when they complained. Magically, she started to give the money back. This center leader. Then, when she went to go ask them about it during a meeting at the center, they wouldn't let her in. And they threatened to call the cops. They threatened to call the cops on this woman, poor senior elderly woman, who was just suspended indefinitely because they gave her no return date from a community center. What the hell is going on here? It's a community center. This woman didn't hit anyone. She wasn't aggressive towards anyone. She didn't put anyone in danger. She's not an animal, as she says. Why would I be treated as such? Steve Sanson, like, God is real. Okay, Steve? God is very real. And I'm not saying you did this. I'm not saying you. But what I'm saying is that you have power, Steve. Believe it or not. You do. I know you may not think so, but you do. If you choose to use it, put a little bass in your voice and say, listen, she's not going to be suspended. I run the parks department. Poor lady was so upset, she ripped up the letter. She couldn't believe it. All these years. What? And then they threatened to have the cops call so I would be arrested. Imagine that. This woman, because she wanted to know why during a meeting, she was suspended. But we know why. This happened to Anthony DiMaggio, and it's happened to others here in the city of Yonkers. When you speak out, expect retaliation. Steve, please, Uncle Steve, can you help out Auntie Sylvia? Please, Steve. Like, I'm not going to let this go, Steve. Like, that's, like, come on. I'm going to continue saying, yo, Steve, you had the power to help this elderly woman who was wronged, and you did nothing. God watches everything. Steve, that's wrong, Steve. I mean, unbelievable. It's a shame. It's the same woman that the seniors have been complaining about for years. They violated their own bylaws. There is so much to this story. Yeah. And I'm going to be speaking about it with Sylvia. We're going to tell you all about it, folks. This is not right. If the seniors have all complained about this center leader, get her ass out of there. Okay? Why are they complaining about you? Do you not have cameras up? Let's look at the footage. If you don't, put some cameras up, because cameras are everywhere. Cameras are everywhere. And I'll get to that in a second. The tone of the letter was horrible, very disrespectful, and did not state what the issue is. They had to meet with her per the bylaws, and they did not. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about the story in detail and actually reading the letter that was sent to her, and also going over the bylaws and getting to the bottom of this. Did she get suspended because?
In another one, Mr. Rumo lied to me, and I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
That's the woman that was suspended. She was lied to. And she simply stated, I will not vote for someone who lies. And I don't disagree, as you should, right? So we'll get more into that tomorrow. And maybe I'll have her come on the show also to discuss, so you can hear how she feels about it. It's very upsetting, right? It's very, very upsetting. Very upsetting. Again, hire people based on education, not DNA. Yeah, nepotism. And before I leave, I want to say, folks, these cameras do track people. I knew it. They try to say Freddie's crazy. He's bugging out. He thinks he's being tracked. And Ruro's texting me saying that I think I'm a DOJ agent. Yeah, I think I'm a DOJ agent. Have I ever said that? I'm confused here. But they are. They do. They track you. How do I know? Because one individual was tracked throughout the city of Yonkers. He was shown everywhere he went. Every turn he made, every stop he made. Even caught him picking his nose. That's right. All because the car that he had rented was reported stolen, or so the police said. According to the individual, the car rental place never reported it stolen. But if it was reported stolen, why didn't they pull him over the minute they caught him on camera? Why did they wait almost the entire day? And why did they show him going all over Yonkers? What was the point of that? Did they want to let him know that we can see you everywhere you go? We know exactly what you're doing at every moment. And when we have your license plate tagged, every camera is going to pick you up. That's what we have here in the city of Yonkers. Next time you're at a intersection, you're at a light, look up, look around. How many cameras can you find? So when they say we had trouble finding a camera, they're full of shit. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you, folks. I appreciate you as always. Have a beautiful night. I'm up out of here.
In another one, Mr. Rubo lied to me. And I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
I want to end this quick because I'm greedy and I want somebody to buy a chicken. So thank you.
Who the fuck you think you are? Listen, I know you are, man. When you have a problem with the detective, you call Detective Sergeant. If you have a problem with that, you call Detective Lieutenant. I know who the fuck you think you are. If you want to play this game, you're going to lose it. I'll tell you right now. I know who the fuck you think you are.
You and I would be the experts. If it were on hot dogs.
Begging. You're one of them. Begging.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Who did she
Let me
talk
tell you
to?
something. Let me know.
You ratchet.
Let me tell you, it's a lot of people that spoke today that was against me, and I still help you to this day. There are churches that are sitting in here that come to me, and I provide for your parishioners.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins.